Welcome back to the All Four Downs podcast. I'm Obi-Wan, and I'm glad that you guys are all joining me here. Please go ahead and share this podcast. Go ahead and allow everyone else to subscribe, like, make your comments throughout the show as I go ahead and talk about this weekend's football. And I say it like that because I'm combining both the college football national championship that's going to be happening this Monday, as well as the divisional round of the NFL is happening this weekend. There's plenty of football to talk about. But first, before I get started, don't forget to also go ahead and click in 4downs3counters.com and you can see our latest blog and, of course, rankings for not only just football, but the WWE and also a new podcast, Lyrically Speaking, that's on my behalf. You love music, you love the lyrics, it talks to you. You definitely want to check out that podcast itself. It's everything on 4downs3counts.com. So let's go ahead and start with first down. And before we get into our picks and everything else, well, breaking news that's happened all over today here on a Thursday, January 15. And that is, according to the ESPN reports, John Harbaugh will be the next head coach of the New York Giants. And what does that mean? Well, listen, Harbaugh's been over a decade with the Baltimore Ravens. He's only won one Super Bowl. And yet, that was before Lamar Jackson's time. But since then, he hasn't done anything. But yet, that team's been always competitive, always had the Ravens where they needed to be. And of course, this season it fell short. And of course, due to injuries and everything else, well, you know what? Maybe that Harbaugh does not really need a break away from the NFL. Not like Mike Tomlin, which we will talk about momentarily, um, but for John Harbaugh, I don't know, man. I didn't think he deserved to step down or to get fired or whatever the real reason was behind everything else. The bottom line is that John Harbaugh is an awesome coach. I mean, he's been there, I think 17 years, maybe 18. I might have got that confused. I know he is 1 year off with Mike Tomlin, but he's done so much for that organization, and I hope he still has the fire and the discipline to bring it over to the New York Giants organization because it's been a long time that I could say since Tom Coughlin was the head coach of the New York Giants. We need that fire in that defense because Giants were always known to have the best defense in the NFL. We're talking about coaches like Bill Parcells, Tom Coughlin. You know, it was so much. I mean, between those two head coaches, they've won four. They both each won two Super Bowls, right? And yeah, the Giants fell short against the Baltimore Ravens, but not with John Harbaugh. But 4-1, and the Giants were always competitive. And ever since that, everything went downhill. It's almost laughable that the Giants could compare themselves with the New York Jets, right? And MetLife Stadium has been so sad for a long time since they built it, right? Since they built it. It's been so sad, right? And it's about time that we get the ball rolling. But yet again, I mean, my expectations should be way better than any years, even including Brian Dable. I am expecting it to be better. Better enough that I'll say, can the New York Giants have at least 8 wins next season? That right there, I'll say, you know what? That'll be beneficial. And if it's better than that, hey, let's continue. I'm down with it. Okay. But John Harbaugh, in my opinion, I think is the right choice. I had another head coach in mind that I wish was there, but it's not going to happen. But, regardless, the Giants made that move. They made a move, and that's okay. And I hope that they recruit even better players in the draft and make good transitions to where they get key personnel from the free agency that will boost up the level, and hopefully the Giants could take over the NFC East. Now, yeah, I mean, I'm talking about as a Giants fan, of course, right? But the competition is going to be real because Eagles will always be competitive, and you got to respect that. They're always competitive, no matter what. They could be in first place every single year, maybe on and off on the playoffs. It doesn't matter. The Eagles is probably the only the only team in the division that has the best record going dating back to 2000. Okay. Then you got the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know what's up with that team for next year. And the Washington Commanders are firing their coordinators and try to start brand new. That's fine and dandy. But with John Harbaugh, we know that there's going to be a system in place because we've seen it with the Baltimore Ravens. So good job for now. We'll celebrate now, but I'm not going to get it twisted. Is there talent in the New York Giants? Because we haven't beaten any team that's competitive enough in the playoffs. And I'm not counting the Eagles split. I'm not. I'm not doing that. I think that we got lucky. That's all I'm going to say. We got lucky. But hey, we're moving on from there. Mike Tomlin not planning to coach for the 2026 season. The report said that he stepped down. Maybe so. And like I said, I'm not there behind the scenes. People report whatever they want to report. But the bottom line is that Mike Tomlin never had a losing season. And that's an awesome accomplishment that nobody could say they have done that. Not even Bill Parcells, because he took over that team with a single digit win, and then it bounced back and it became Super Bowl champs. But Mike Tomlin only has one Super Bowl ring. That's it. All that time he was there with the Steelers organization, only one. But he was there for a long time because the owners believed in him. But then again, the owners always believe in their coaches. I think it's 4 decades, 3 head coaches. That's pretty awesome. Compared to the rest of the NFL, it's like changing socks and underwears. Oh, this didn't work. Fire, fire, fire. Everything's about firing. Well, gotta respect the Steelers. I didn't like them this year just because the other guy that was there was Aaron Rodgers. But we'll talk about that real soon. But as of right now, there are 6 teams without a head coach: Falcons, Cardinals, Titans, Dolphins, Ravens, and the Raiders. So we'll see what happens there. But speaking about Aaron Rodgers, Yahoo reports that Rodgers are likely won't run it back with Pittsburgh. What now? That's their headline. So bottom line is Aaron Rodgers going to officially retire, or is he going to try to make another run? And in my perspective, seeing the way he was playing, I think it's time to hang it up. Old man, you showing your age on the field. Hey, so what? You could still throw a football, but the management and everything else, the arguments, you could tell that it's taken a lot out of Aaron Rodgers, the frustrations and everything else. You had it good. You got lucky to get to the wild card. Let's not forget that if it wasn't for the Ravens kicker that missed the field goal, Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers would not have been in the playoffs. Okay? So whether you want to take that victory lap, and all the Steelers fans are taking that victory, congratulations. But there's nothing to congratulate because the fact that you're still lost in the wild card. But hey, respecting for the accomplishments he made in the NFL, yeah, I give it to it because let's look. Aaron Rodgers right now is ranked number 5 of all time on passing yards. And if let's say he does play next year for another team, it's going to take him 2 seasons to try to get past Brett Favre, unless he has a miracle season that all he does is throw the ball and goes over 5,000 yards. But he didn't even come close to 4,000 this season. As a matter of fact, it was closer to 3,000. But hey, number 5, that's a huge accomplishment. And then the passing yards in the playoffs, he is ranked number 3. And maybe if he makes the playoffs, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you could get 1,300 yards in 3 games. I don't know. I mean, anything's possible if you're like throwing 500, I guess. But overall, he did an outstanding job. But with one Super Bowl, hey, and then watch this. He's a 4-time MVP. Okay, congratulations. You could play very well in the regular season, but throughout your whole career with one Super Bowl, could we really compare Aaron Rodgers with any other quarterbacks like Tom Brady? Could we compare him with Peyton Manning? I don't think so. That's not a conversation that I'm going to put Aaron Rodgers with them. He just doesn't deserve it. You're a regular season champ. That's all you are. But one Super Bowl, you couldn't get that team, Green Bay, to get in there. You had your chance with Pittsburgh. You fell terribly bad with the New York Jets. I mean, Brett Favre had a better season than Aaron Rodgers. Better career. But yet I know the stats are the stats. But hey, it is what it is. But what I'm intrigued is that yes, Aaron Rodgers does deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. And I'd like to mention some names that he acquired himself with in the NFL draft. Now he was in the NFL draft in 2005, and he was picked first round, but overall number 24 by the Green Bay Packers. And yet it took him like maybe 4 or 5 seasons before he even started playing. And Brett Favre finally decided to leave. I'm sorry, I take that back. I think it was 3 seasons, I guess, right? Because I think it was right after Brett Favre lost to the New York Giants in that their ice bowl over there. Yeah. Then all of a sudden, Aaron Rodgers started peeking through. But in his draft, the number one person on his draft was Alex Smith, and he went to the San Francisco 49ers. How about that? Okay. Jason Campbell went to the Washington Redskins, which is now the Commanders. He was number 25. He was the pick after Aaron Rodgers. Other notable people, Kyle Orton went to the Bears. Dan Orlovsky went to Detroit. He is now the ESPN analyst. And so is Alex Smith, by the way. And then Matt Castle. Remember Matt Castle? He was the backup quarterback for Tom Brady. Then he ended up going to Kansas City. And he did his best. He handled his business. He had some good numbers. And the other one that was so intriguing was Ryan Fitzpatrick, the man that starts it off in the first half and then just throws interceptions all over the place in the second half of the season. That's who I know. Matter of fact, he's on TV with Prime Video. Imagine that. But here's some other people that was in his draft. You ready? Cedric Benson, the running back. Cadillac Williams, Ronnie Brown. The tight end from the Pittsburgh Steelers, Heath Miller. Wide receiver Vincent Jackson, who played for the San Diego Chargers. And who could forget? Frank Gore was drafted also, and he went to San Francisco. And then Brandon Jacobs he was the running back for the New York Giants. So 15 quarterbacks were drafted, and I got to say, out of those 15, Aaron Rodgers shined, and he did so much better than any of the quarterbacks. Not only that, what I mentioned, but there's a whole bunch in there, a few that I never even heard of. I think they were permanently backup quarterbacks and just probably transitioned to be coaches or something. All right. But other than that, listen, Aaron Rodgers he was awesome at his prime, but I think it's time for him to hang it up. It's over. But if you want to be like Brett Favre, because everything he's doing is really the same footsteps as Brett Favre, you might think you got one more, and then you're going to go to another team. Just like Brett Favre left the Packers, went to the Jets, played for the Vikings. Hey, maybe Aaron Rodgers could go to the Vikings because they might need help in quarterback over there. He might have a better chance with all those talent over there. Maybe. So big ups to him. Hopefully we'll hear something in the near future. But the other guy that I want to talk about that could be potentially not this year's NFL draft, but the following year is Dante Moore. Dante Moore went ahead and decided to stay at the University of Oregon, and he wants to play one more year. Now, he wants to win a national championship. And most of those people, most of the players there in Oregon are actually staying in Oregon because they want to chase it. They fell short and they lost to Indiana. But listen, the window of opportunity is so there as being one of the best quarterbacks to get drafted in the NFL. They're projecting him to be number two behind the Heisman Trophy winner, Fernando Mendoza. Now, I don't know if it's the right choice. I don't. I don't know if it's the right choice or not. If I say, look, if he put in perspective that maybe he's staying there for the education purpose, I respect that because again, football doesn't last, but everything else can, right? Have a different career and everything else. You never know what could happen in football. Could be a season-ending injury or something. I don't know. But there's so much money that could be invested in Dante Moore that he still said no. He's going to play one more year. Got to respect that decision. Maybe others won't. But for many, for others, they say, no, I don't know, scratching their heads. But you're gambling. And I say this because somebody else did that. Remember Penn State that was supposed to be ranked number 2 in the nation in preseason? That's supposed to be the one of the best teams that could make it all the way to the national championship. And within the first month, after the first month, it was over. It was done. They went 3-3, and the head coach got fired. Remember Coach Franklin got fired. Now he's with Virginia Tech. And they're not even in the top 25. But I'm not hoping for that for Oregon. Oregon's always been contenders. But I'm just saying, dude, you're about to be the first round pick or the second round pick in the first round of the NFL, and you still say no. That tells you something. You are too hungry to win a national championship. And one has to wonder whether or not it's still going to be a 12-team playoff or would it expand it to 16 or 24? I don't know. But throughout the postseason and all the talks for all the meetings, we'll probably find out with that. But with Dante Moore there, they're in contention of being front runner for the national championship. But I will not hold that just yet. Let's move on to second down. College football national championship is happening this Monday. And what can I say? I was wrong. I was wrong in my picks. And Oregon was my last correct one until they lost to Indiana. So I'm out of it all the way. I actually had Georgia versus Oregon in the finals, but that didn't happen. And it's okay. I'm good with it. It was great while it lasted. But we still got good, two outstanding teams that's going to entertain us on Monday night. But let's start off with Indiana, in which let's talk about the role they took, right? First team in college football history to win from a bye week. Okay. Alabama beat Oklahoma, and then Alabama lost to Indiana, while all the other bye week teams actually lost. It happens. And I hope they change that rule because I want everybody to play. Okay. And I wish that the time off is closer than waiting over a month just to play a game. However, Indiana went ahead and defeated Oregon to make it to the national championship. On the other side, Miami defeated Texas A&M. It's probably the most boring game ever. But then went ahead and manhandled Ohio State, which I thought Ohio State would have won, but they lost. Okay. And Miami went ahead and defeated Ole Miss, which, by the way, an ACC team defeating an SEC team. Wow, that's wonderful in a sense. But the ruck ran out for Ole Miss. And now you have Indiana versus Miami in the national championship. So who's going to win? Home field advantage goes to Miami. Yeah, how about that? Who would ever thought that the national championship Miami was going to host at Hard Rock Stadium? Weather's going to be nice. It's going to be a beautiful night. So awesome. But in favor, the spread is Indiana right now, 8.5. And the over under is 47.5. But hey, forget about the records and everything else. We're going to have some awesome game. We're going to have an awesome game. Yes. Their history, this is going to be the third meeting of all time. And it's dating back to the 60s. Uh, Miami won one. Indiana won one. You know, Miami has that win streak, that one win streak right there, right? 1966. That's a long time, huh? Well, I didn't even know I didn't even exist during that time. But what's intriguing here is comparing their schedules. So I had to take some time and look and compare. And in the regular season, Miami, they had to handle their business, but I'm still scratching my head as to losing to Louisville and SMU. Yes, they beat Notre Dame in week one, but I wish I would see Miami and Notre Dame playing like towards maybe the last game of the season to see if the same quality would have happened. Would Miami still beat Notre Dame? But that's something we could debate in another time. All right. Um, but there's only one star in the regular season schedule for Miami. Because if you look at the top 25 right now, only Notre Dame out of the whole entire list there uh, is in the top 25 right now. On the other side, Indiana has three teams currently in the top 25: Iowa, Oregon, and Ohio State. Now, does that make a big difference? Maybe the strength of schedule in favor of Indiana. But then when you look at the postseason, Miami had to win three games. And it combined, they just scored 65 points and given up 44. Indiana only played two games and better quality games to where they've scored 94 points and only given up 25 points. Who has an advantage here? Now, if you guys follow the history, I know some of you guys that grew up in the 80s and 90s will be all in for Miami Hurricanes, right? The big U, right? Yeah, those were the days, man. Remember Two Live Crew? Yeah. During that time, woo, boy, I'm sure you guys were awesome jamming to that and knowing Uncle Luke was in the house. Yeah. But home field advantage could be a thing for Miami. It's almost like the NFL, right? When the Rams were, had it, the home field advantage over there in their new stadium. Eh, but I don't think that's going to be a factor. I really don't. And here's why. We got Carson Beck versus Fernando Mendoza. And then Carson Beck, I mean, he's been here before. He's been on the sideline watching Stetson Bennett. You remember him from the University of Georgia? They went back-to-back championships. Well, Carson Beck was the backup. And remember, he was there from 21 to 24. Now he's with the Miami Hurricanes. But his best season really was in 2023. You can't say that he had a best season right now. Yeah, I mean, you could say best season because he's in the national championship. But if you look at the whole entire season, he had some flaws too. He had a problem throwing interceptions. We also had a problem with receivers not going the proper routes too. Will they be disciplined enough to go against one of the best defense, which is Indiana? On the other side, Fernando Mendoza, it doesn't seem like being on the spotlight is really bothering him. He is still performing like he's done the whole entire season. This is the guy that transferred from California and now 1 year in Indiana. He's handling his business. Undefeated, and the team seems untouchable. Indiana's ranked number 3 in the nation in defense, and Miami's number 8. When we compare between pass defense and rushing defense, Indiana's been winning. But this is the playoffs. This is the national championship. And one little mistake could cause a nightmare. Who is going to win the national championship? Well, here's my pick. I am taking Indiana to not only beat Miami, but be the first team in college football to win 16 games, to be undefeated, to be in the record book as to say Indiana did it. The college football playoff national championship will be Indiana over Miami, greater than 8.5 points. I'm taking the points and I'm taking the over. As much as I was saying that we got two best defenses going against each other, there's just something telling me that we're going to go over 47.5. It's going to be a low scoring game, close to 20 points in the first half, and then they're going to launch. But Indiana will have an advantage and win by 10 or more against the Miami Hurricanes. That is my prediction. You agree or disagree? Leave your comments below. Let me know. And I will share at the end of the show to see if anyone actually comments. I know we got some listeners out there tuning in, but what's your take? Who you have winning, Indiana or Miami? Let's go ahead and move on to third down. And is it the divisional round within the NFL? And my counterpart is not here. My co-host is not here. Couldn't make it. But I told him already, and I texted him and I said, you know what? We see a lot of things different here. I mean, I thought, yeah, he won the regular season and defeated me, but man, I didn't know. And sometimes we think alike, and that's been dangerous, right? And for some odd reason, we only could agree on one game. Wow, that's all I'm saying. So let's take a look because he did text me. Hector did text me about how why his team is going to win, the team that he chose. So we'll see. We'll go from there. But let's look at here at the brackets right now. Broncos versus the Bills, Patriots versus the Texans in the AFC. And then in the NFC, we have the Seahawks, 49ers, and then the Bears versus the Rams. It's going to be lovely here. Awesome game. But let's see what happens here with our picks. And we'll start off with the first game that's happening Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bills versus the Broncos. Now, Hector says Buffalo will try to win by balance and depth on offense and by forcing Denver into a pass-heavy script. Denver's chances improve if their defense controls Cook and Nix continues his steady development without mistakes. I do agree with him, right? I think in offense, it all be about Bo Nix' accuracy and limiting any turnovers and not forcing the ball. But I do see Nix running more than anything. I think he's going to be more of a running back in his game. I really do. Unless these receivers get open for him. And even that, again, his accuracy has to be on point. Now, at the beginning of the week, the Bills were favored on the spread, and it's changed within 24 hours. It's Denver at -1.5. So it's really a pick 'em game. But the picks are here. Hector chooses that the Bills are going to win the divisional round and move on to the AFC Championship. And I picked the Denver Broncos. I think the Denver Broncos has a better defense. I do believe that the Bills is a one-man show. You need more than Josh Allen controlling the game. You need a run game. You need to move the ball. Now, this is not last year's wild card game. And if you remember, in the AFC wild card game last year, Buffalo defeated the Broncos 31-7. This game, if I'm not mistaken, was 10-7 at the half, and then the Bills went off. And this was at Buffalo. This is not the same team. This is not the same Broncos team as last year. The Broncos defense are the real deal. And they're going to put pressure on Josh Allen. And if they could contain him, they ain't that much scoring for the Bills. Mile High Stadium in Denver, 41 degrees, very comfortable there in Denver. Okay. I just need Bo Nix to be straight, man. I need Bo Nix to make things happen. And therefore, I am taking the Broncos to beat the Bills. And I know my boy, my boy Carnes over there in Georgia probably disagree with me because he's part of the Bill Mafia over there. And he's gonna say, you crazy. The Bills are going to win the Super Bowl. And here's another catch. There's a lot of saying that there's no Mahomes, there's no Joe Burrow, there's no other quarterbacks distracting. Man, that ain't that disrespect for the other teams and their quarterbacks? Because it's Josh Allen that automatically, since everybody's not there, that he can't win. Let's put some respect, man. Remember, those are just quarterbacks. Quarterbacks don't play quarterbacks. Quarterbacks got to play that defense. I think that Bronco defense is going to have that number, at least for now. And by the way, the Bills, they're 5-3 on the road. We're not going to put that respect on the Broncos. They're 8-1. Yeah. Think about that one. All right, let's move on there with the 49ers and the Seahawks. This is an interesting game. Hector says Seattle's momentum and home field edge gives them a slight advantage, but the 49ers offense efficiency keeps this a close defensive battle likely decide late. He is picking the Seattle Seahawks. Okay, I got you. However, I disagree with you because if you paid attention, the last 4 meetings of their rivalry, the road team has won. And this goes back even more, right? Because there was a flaw with Seattle before, right? And the 49ers had a win streak. But when the two teams are competitive, the road teams end up winning. The 49ers are 7-2 on the road compared to the Seahawks 6-2. And we're not going to talk about what happened last week, but that's okay because the 49ers overcame all the obstacles to win. But the 49ers and Seahawks are 1-1 in the playoffs. They face each other in the wild card game. 49ers won. They faced each other in the NFC Championship game way back, and the Seahawks won. But this is going to be the first time in a divisional round game. And this is also the first game in the playoff that Seattle's playing. And who is Seattle's quarterback? Let's put that into perspective here, okay? Because that's going to make a big difference here. Is he going to be a choke artist? Okay? I'm just being real. I am being real because it's happened already. Sam Darnold, can he get his first win in the playoffs? He choked with the Minnesota Vikings. You remember when the Vikings lost to the Giants in the playoffs a couple of years ago? Then all of a sudden, Sam Darnold went to another team. And now they're saying, oh, he's the real deal. We trust Sam Darnold. But can Sam Darnold handle himself? Did he learn from his mistakes? Did he overcome them obstacles to where he could focus and give Seattle the win and move on to the NFC Championship? And matter of fact, a win for Seattle, they could host the championship. I just don't think so. I don't think so. I think he's going to choke. I think he's going to throw in interceptions. I think he's turning over the ball to a 49ers defense. They are still hungry. They're still moving. And out of these two teams, the 49ers, remind you, they've been banged up and they're still banged up. And I think they lost Kittle for the season, right? But there's always somebody stepping up. Is it enough for the 49ers to move on? I do think so. I believe in Brock Purdy. I really do. And like I said before, the last 4 appearances, road teams won. I am taking the 49ers to beat the Seahawks. The Texans and the Patriots. Oh, that's my favorite. That is my favorite. Here, I'm surrounded by Patriots fans. I know I am, and that's okay. But Hector says New England's defense showed its strength in the wild card round, limiting the run, which forced Houston to lean more heavily on CJ Stroud to generate offense through the air. On the other side, Houston's top ranked defense presents a major challenge for the Patriots offense that struggled to score in the wild card round. New England may find it difficult to sustain drives to create explosive plays against a disciplined Texas unit. The quarterback play is a key storyline. Stroud has performed well in the postseason, but has difficulties in the divisional round settings, while Drake May is making his first career playoff start, ironically against Houston. Putting both young quarterbacks under significant pressure, expect a physical, low scoring game where defensive execution and mistake free quarterback play will likely determine the outcome. I would like to say more that the Patriots have Josh McDaniel as the offensive coordinator. If you want to talk about the best offensive coordinator, it's got to be that guy. How did the Patriots just turn things around all of a sudden and Drake May is a star in the Patriots? Because of McDaniels. He can't head coach, but he can sure be an offensive coordinator. Oh, yeah. And the Patriots always had defense. Let's not go there. They've always had players that could play D. We just needed the right coach, or they needed the right coach, really. But there's something that Hector said that was true. This is Drake May's first, right? And what about the Texans? CJ Stroud's been in the playoffs. He had some jitters against the Steelers. It was the Texans could have lost against the Steelers all because of CJ Stroud. And I think now that he got that over with, I think he's going to be more confident going into New England. These two teams, yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I am taking the over 40 and a half. But if I was to pick a winner, it's not going to be the New England Patriots. Yeah, they're home. Yeah, they're 6-3 at home in the regular season. But the Texans, they're on another level. That defense flying everywhere, I believe in them. I really do. I'm taking the Texans to beat the Patriots. As a matter of fact, I already have the Texans going to the Super Bowl. It's never been done. I'm taking it. Texans over Patriots. I'm loving it right there. Gillette Stadium, 36-degree weather. Listen, that's a little warmer than what Texas did in Pittsburgh. Let's put it that way. Okay. Let's just make sure that the wind ain't blowing terribly like it did in Pittsburgh. But the Texans, Patriots, yeah. What's your pick on this? Because Hector got the Patriots, I got the Texans. Who you got winning this game? No, go ahead. Leave your comments there. Loving it. And then lastly, the Rams versus the Bears. Yeah, I'm all in with the Rams. I said that during preseason. I said during the regular season. I'm going to follow all the way through. I can't back it up. I can't change my mind. Okay. Some of these games that I saw with the Rams, they kind of beat themselves to the point where they should have been the number one team in this year's playoffs, but they're not. They're going to do things the hard way. They're going to go on the road. It's going to be 20 degrees and possibly might be snowing during this game. There's the Bears. Surprisingly, the Bears. I don't know what to tell you, but I believe, if I'm mistaken, I'm going to pull my notes up real quick from somewhere else. Um, yeah, that was right. Definitely right that I had the Bears winning and going on to this round. The only thing is that I was wrong with the 49ers. So the matchups wasn't there. I actually had the Rams and the Seahawks in the division round, but that didn't happen. But that could still be a chance for the NFC championship, right? Not so fast. Not so fast, man. Because it's not going to happen. I'm predicting it ain't going to happen. Okay. But according to Hector, he says this: a high scoring game is possible, but the Rams' offensive firepower and favorable matchups suggest that they control the game and pull away. likely winning multiple scores despite the challenging weather. You're right. But here's my take. The only way the Rams lose is the quarterback, Matthew Stafford. He is the only one that will possibly ruin it for the Rams. And quite frankly, I feel like this is probably his last season. I think he'll hang it up. I think he'll retire. I believe that. To retire as a Super Bowl champion, that is my prediction. But I am taking the Rams over the Bears. Hector also is taking the Rams. That's the only game that we agreed on. And that is it. So I'm loving it. I'm taking it. Um, but if I'm comparing the defense, the Rams have a better defense than the Bears. I think they'll show up and show everyone because I do believe that the defense wins championships. They just got to stop. They got to stop them. And I do believe that. And there you have it. Fourth down. And once again, go ahead and follow us on 4downs3counts.com. We have the All Four Downs podcast, the HHW show, which will be popping up momentarily. And then you got the new podcast called Lyrically Speaking, which will learn more about the lyrics within the music. Yeah, maybe your favorite tunes. Who knows? Go ahead and check out the website. See if you like it. Share it with others. It's an awesome website, man. 4downs3counts.com. Yours truly. Oh, yeah. I'm loving it. It sounds like McDonald's, right? But anyhow, in closing, again, this is a remarkable time. And the more weeks we get through, the more where I say to myself, damn, man, the football season is almost over. I know you love it when it starts, but man, you hate when it goes. But that's it. So in closing, that's going to do it for the episode of All Four Downs. We talked about the potential culture shift in New York. If John Harbaugh takes over as New York Giants, well, he will be. And whether or not Aaron Rodgers will be ready to ride off in his final chapter, or will he go ahead and remain active in his Hall of Fame career. And I'm planting my flag and choosing Indiana over Miami in the college football's biggest stage. And from there, wrapping it up with the NFL divisional round picks, where legends are tested and the seasons are defined in 4 quarters or less. As always, this is where opinions clash, legacies are debated, and the games speak louder than the noise. And if you agree or disagree or think I'm completely off base, well, that's the beauty of it, right? Because football never stops giving us something to talk about. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share All Four Downs podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcast platform. Follow the show and updates and future episodes because the next snap, the next hire, and the next upset are always right around your corner. So until then, until next time, keep it moving down the field, baby. That's right. Because you know what was my favorite saying? Gotta love some football, baby. Yeah? Yeah. Take care, everyone.